Welcome to another round of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. This weekend we're in the coastal views of Anglesey Circuit, one of the drivers' favourites, but not so much today when we had absolute downpour for the first qualifying. Now race 1A is about to get underway. As you can see, the guys are going out to the track. Good news is it is starting to dry out there. Now we have John Langridge and Will Blackwell-Chambers drawing on points coming into this weekend. So Andy, I'm going to give you a question. Who's going to walk away with the better advantage now that the track is drying out? Let's see. So straight over to you, Andy, to run us through all of that grid.
Well, Lyndsay, I think the answer is we don't really know. This will be the first wet race of the year, but Blackwell-Chambers does have the pole position with Adam Bessel alongside him. Steve Foden and John Langridge share the second row, ahead of Ali Bray and Ollie Allwood, with Joe Wiggin and Lewis Cannon row 4. Now, back on the fifth row, Marcus Bailey and Ben Short, twice a winner this year, but down in 10th on the grid, ahead of Jason Greatrex and Matt Pollard. Charles Mugglestone, Jack Brewer, Jack Moody and Scott Mansell are next, then David Waters and Seb Fisher, ahead of Ollie Graham and Richard Baxter to round out the top 20. Then it's Charlie Rawls and Callum Greatrex. Martin Tolley down in 23rd alongside Adam Craig. Those two should move forward. Tom Smith, Tim Dorr, Nick Ledoyen and Dave Turton round out the 30 or the 28 car grid for this race 1A here at a not so sunny Anglesey in the north of Wales. The red lights go on, they go out now. We're away and racing the white and blue car of Adam Bessel from the outside of row 1, scrabbling for grip on what could be the drier line of the two, but on the inside line it's the pole sitter Blackwell-Chambers who will lead them into target for the first time. There is Ollie Allwood, the blue and white number 63, the pink and black is Joe Wiggin stuck in the middle there with Steve Foden, the black and gold car just in front of him. On board with Charles Mugglestone then as we turn through the banking for the first time. A couple of cars getting sideways and Charles Mugglestone likewise, but I think with some assistance there, he's off the road, he's on the grass and he's going to rejoin, but a long way down the order. Not entirely sure who the culprit was there, but there was definite contact as they went through that tight banked right-hander. On board here with Mugglestone as a replay, and yeah, just bit of contact, did a good job actually to save the car, but then overcorrected and straight across onto the grass on the other side of the road. So problems there for Mugglestone. He drops right to the back of the field, and that means that he is now unfortunately vulnerable for potentially falling into one of those relegation spots. Remember, the bottom 5 finishers in this race get relegated to the B group for race 2 tomorrow morning. Up the school straight they go then towards the Rocket Complex for the first time. Steve Foden there having a go at the inside of Ali Bray in the number 80 car. Ali making his first appearance of the season in 2019, and has the inside line for the second part of Rocket though, and will hang on to the position as we come around now towards the completion of the opening lap of racing, and things as close as you would expect them despite the slightly greasy conditions. The field is still extremely closely bunched. On board with Martin Tolley here, number 93 just behind him there, means that he has gained a few places because Jack Brewer started 14th and Martin Tolley started 23rd. I think in fairness Brewer has lost some ground and Tolley's gained some positions, and they've sort of met in the middle, and now Tolley potentially about to lose another position to Brewer as they go into the corkscrew there. The left-hander at the corkscrew. We're on the full circuit here this afternoon as well, so we go down the straight towards the hairpin, down the Tom Price straight this is, and into the hairpin. Another definite overtaking opportunity this. We're seeing a few of them trying to make good use of that already. David Waters there, the blue number 666 car going up the inside. At the front of the field though, it's another blue car, that of Will Blackwell-Chambers, the reigning champion, who leads the way, but he runs very wide through the final corner. Back with Foden then, so Foden did get past Lewis Cannon in the end, despite Lewis's attempts to hang tough around the outside at Church. So can Lewis now hang on to a top 4 position? Anywhere in the top 5 would do in a way though, because that would still be his best finish of the season so far, and I think probably of his MX-5 racing career, at least for this championship. Out of the left-hander down towards the hairpin they go. Short getting away now in 3rd position. Foden 4th, 5th Cannon, 6th Greatrex there, the 3 cars in shot. Anyone late enough on the brakes to go up the inside? Not on this occasion. Cannon maybe had the better mid-corner speed there. Gets a bit sideways on the exit though, and is that going to be Greatrex's opportunity maybe? Out of the final corner meanwhile, there goes Joe Wiggin. Now Joe Wiggin is about to go a lap down, which means that he must have had a moment somewhere, or a problem. And for the first time this year, it looks as though Joe Wiggin is going to fall into a relegation position. He's been in the A races in every one of the 9 races so far this year, and there are relatively few drivers who can lay claim to that sort of statistic, but they can see a glimpse of the pink and black car just in front of Will Blackwell-Chambers, the race leader, so he won't quite go a lap down because we're on the final lap of the race, and Wiggin does seem to be running at speed. which does therefore suggest to me that it is a spin that he's had, or an off, rather than a mechanical issue that's slowing him down greatly, because his lap times are still pretty good. Blackwell Chambers is going even quicker, and it's looking now like he's going to take his 4th victory of the year. Now, he and Langridge, we mentioned before the race started how close they were on points. Well, they were also equal on race victories, 3 apiece coming into this race in the 2019 season. With this victory, Blackwell Chambers will break the tie and go 1 ahead of anybody else, and with Langridge some way down the order, looks as though John is going to do well, I think, to salvage anything better than about an 8th position finish. So some good championship points, and there's a good opportunity here maybe for the blue and white number 1 machine to take more than 1 race victory this weekend, you'd have to imagine. This is the weekend that marks the halfway point of the championship, and could this be the weekend where Blackwell Chambers starts to solidly make his mark on the championship? Out of the hairpin, 1 more corner to go. There you get a good shot of Joe Wiggin coming down towards us with one of the headlights sticking out, which is usually a sign that he's had some contact or a spin somewhere, so he's definitely had an eventful race. There's a wing mirror hanging loose too, but no such problems for Will Blackwell Chambers, who for the 4th time in 2019 comes out of the final corner and wins in the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. A great victory that was for Blackwell Chambers. Had to withstand the pressure early doors from Adam Bessel, but in the end pulled away. Bessel still very happy though with his first podium finish of the season. And then 3rd place will be Ben Short. Not a bad result, that, from 10th on the grid. Confirmation of that result then, a 3.8 second winning margin in the end for Blackwell Chambers over Bessel and Short in 3rd. Steve Foden 4th, Lewis Cannon 5th, fended off Jason Greatrex to the flag. Then Marcus Bailey and John Langridge indeed down in 8th, ahead of Scott Mansell and Matt Pollard. Ollie Allwood, Jack Brewer, Ali Bray dropped down to 13th in the closing stages. Then Seb Fisher and Adam Craig to round out the top 15. The 5 drivers that will be relegated: Martin Tolley, Tim Dorr, Nick Ledoyen, Joe Wiggin and Charles Mugglestone.
Will, congratulations, 1st place in the 1st race this weekend. Talk me through what you set up like, because it looks like it was drying out there.
We weren't really sure what it was going to do. We had a fantastic wet setup, which we somewhat lucked upon, which put me on pole, which was a great place to start from. It looked like it was going to dry, so we kind of went for a 50-50 wet-dry setup, and I must admit, having rolled onto the grid, I took one look at my teammate, and we both went, this is not going to go well. Went all right. Standing top step of the podium, pretty happy with that.
Race 2A is about to get underway here for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. Now, after an eventful race yesterday, we have Will Blackwell Chambers, who's currently now leading the championship, still in 1st position, where his main competitor, John Langridge, is down in 8th after a little bit of an incident yesterday. So, John, can you talk me through what's the action plan for today going into this race?
Basically, drive as fast as I can. It's pretty simple. Obviously, it helps to get a really nice start, and because it's a good opportunity to pick up places when we're all together. But beyond that, just really go for it.
Brilliant. Well, we wish you the best of luck, John.
Thank you.
We're leaving to get underway, so we're going to hand it straight over to Andy to run you through all of the action.
Yeah, thanks, Lyndsay. Well, this is a significant race for Langridge because he's starting to run out of dropped scores. He's had a bit of an up-and-down season so far, and he has to come from further down the order than he'd like in this one. The grid, by the way, based on the result from the previous race, so Blackwell Chambers and Bessel share the front row ahead of Ben Short and Steve Foden, Lewis Cannon and Jason Greatrex, then Marcus Bailey and John Langridge, Scott Mansell and Matt Pollard round out the top 10 ahead of Jack Brewer and Ali Bray, then Seb Fisher, Ollie Allwood, Adam Craig and David Waters, with Jack Moody, Ollie Graham, Callum Greatrex, Tom Smith to round out the top 20. The 5 promoted drivers from the B grid, Ben Hansey, Adrian Burge, Clive Chisnall, Simon Orange and Michael Nibbs are at the back of the grid. So 20 more minutes of racing then. Bone dry conditions now. Still a little overcast though this morning here at Anglesey. Who will get off the line the quickest? Let's find out. The red lights go out. Away we go. Bessel seems to have had a good jump from the outside of row number 1. Can Blackwell Chambers fight him off again into turn number 1? Though I think he might be able to. On board with Langridge, who is already making progress. And there, oh, there's Blackwell Chambers. What's going on with Will Blackwell Chambers? He's going backwards. He's been sucked into the middle of the pack. And I think Ben Short has got the race lead. Let's have a look in the distance. Yes, Ben Short out in front. Greatrex runs out wide there. So Langridge is already into the top 5. But Ben Short in the lead of the race, Adam Bessel 2nd, and Lewis Cannon in 3rd. We're on board with John Langridge, who has contact with Jason Greatrex into Church Corner. That was a very scary moment indeed, and I'm sure that the Blink Motorsport driver would have been very, very concerned that his 2nd race of the weekend Might have been about to end in the tyre wall there, but they got away with it without any major issues. Up the hill we go again then. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a race on our hands because Will Blackwell Chambers and John Langridge are right together again, but already Blackwell Chambers is going up the inside for third position there. Meanwhile, further back, they're three abreast with Ollie Allwood there getting elbowed onto the grass. Ali Bray is in the mix as well. Number 54 is Marcus Bailey trying to get up the inside of Jack Brewer. It is all going on in the midfield, as is often the case in the Mazda MX-5 Championship. This is why we love this championship. It's such great value for money, not only for the drivers, who thoroughly enjoy the racing, but us as well, as spectators, whether trackside or at home. The racing is brilliant to watch up and down the field. We're on board here with number 74, which is Clive Chisnell, one of the drivers who finished in the top 5 in race 1B, so he gets promoted into the A grid, and that is Scott Mansell up the inside of Steve Foden, who in turn tried to go up the inside of Jason Greatrex, who I think had no idea that he was about to get overtaken by 2 cars in one there. Jack Brewer is the yellow and red car, also tried to join in the fun. It's all getting a bit physical on this opening lap. Ben Short trying to escape it all out in front with Bessel, Blackwell Chambers, Cannon and Langridge the order in the top 5. And then this is the fight for 6th, with somehow Scott Mansell still in 6th place ahead of Jason Greatrex 7th. And Steve Foden argued with a big loser on this first lap from 4th down to 8th within the first couple of miles of racing. So across the line they go. Look at that, everybody's got someone to play with. There isn't a lonely driver on the grid, and Adam Bessel has got the race lead away from Ben Short. Ben Short must have had a moment at the first corner, and Adam Bessel, for the first time this year, is out in front in one of the A races. Short down to 2nd, and Will Blackwell Chambers, it never takes long for him to get back to the front of the grid. The hill they go. Rocket coming up, this midfield battle still going on. And Dave Turton now starting to pull away slightly at the head of the group. David Waters, so busy is he defending from Ali Bray that he's not really able to go after him, and Jack Moody again is tapping Morse code onto the back of the 80 car. Roughly translated, I think he's saying, I'm a bit quicker than you, move, but I don't think Ali Bray is going to. His cross there on the back of Ali's car, but he's certainly very rapid here, despite the relative lack of experience. Right, back with the leaders then, who I think are about to come on to the final lap of the race. And Adam Bessel has been caught again now by Blackwell Chambers, who is sort of bringing John Langridge with him, but a bit like we saw in the middle portion of the race, Ben Short not quite able to go with them. Arguably seemed to go better yesterday in the drying conditions on his wet setup than he has done today in what we must assume is a car that's set up fully for the dry. 3 in front of him, just started to gap him slightly. Can Adam Bessel, though, hang on for one more lap? Blackwell Chambers is with him now, and he might just have timed this right because he's pulled a bit of a gap over John Langridge, so he's not under too much pressure from behind, and he is also heading onto the back straight now, where the slipstream is so pivotal. How much of a risk will he be willing to take here, because he is already outscoring the people that he really needs to outscore. Yes, a win would be nice, a 5th victory of the year, and it looks like he's going to go for it as well. He pulls to the right-hand side of the road, gets his nose in front going into the braking zone, but Adam Bessel surely isn't going to give up without a fight, and is later on the brakes, gets to the apex first. And so I think, again, that was Blackwell Chambers just saying, well, look, I'll have a go, but if it's going to risk contact, I'm not necessarily willing to risk a DNF, which would be really costly for his championship hopes. Whilst right now, he has the upper hand over those that really matter to him. 3 corners to go, though. And if another clear opportunity presents itself, don't be surprised if we see Will Blackwell Chambers going for it here on the last lap. Over the curb, up the hill, there's a back marker ahead of them that they hopefully won't catch before the flag. Because we want to see this battle run right to the wire, onto the brakes. Adam Bessel turns through the right-hand hairpin and is now just 1 corner away from his first victory in the Mazda MX-5 Championship in 2019. Down the hill he goes. And I don't really think Blackwell Chambers is close enough. The lapped car, they're not quite going to catch, I don't think, before the flag, which is good news. That looks like it's Charlie Rawls. And as through the final corner they go, Adam Bessel is going to do it. He sees the checkered flag and wins race number 2A here at Anglesey by, in the end, less than 0.4 of a second from Will Blackwell Chambers in 2nd place. And John Langridge comes home 3rd with Ben Short in 4th position. So Ben loses some championship points then again in that race to Blackwell Chambers, but also on this occasion to John Langridge. Confirmation of that result then. It's Bessel from Chambers, from Langridge, Short and Steve Foden to round out the top 10. Then Jason Greatrex, Jack Brewer, Lewis Cannon, Scott Mansell and Ollie Allwood are next. Outside the top 10, Seb Fisher, Marcus Bailey, Matt Pollard, Adam Craig and Tom Smith, whilst the relegated drivers, well, there were one non-finisher and 2 disqualifications. Richard Baxter didn't finish, David Waters and Charlie Rawls were disqualified, whilst Michael Nibbs and Simon Orange, the last 2 finishers, will also be relegated.
A huge congratulations to you. You managed to get away from those 2 and just have your own race by the looks of it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how that happened, to be honest. I think these new tyres are really good for me, so I quite enjoy them, to be fair.
Was there anything that you feel like there was a move that you felt like you took it and that was it?
No, when I got behind Ben at the lead, I just knew I was quicker than Ben, so I just had to get past Ben, and then I think he held them up for a bit, and then I managed to just get a bit of a gap, so I was quite lucky, really.
Third and final race of the weekend here for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship, and we have Adam Bessel on pole position, Will Blackwell Chambers close behind him, and starting right behind is John Langridge. Now I have a sneaky feeling that John Langridge is going to be giving it all in this race, so Andy, I'd love to see what you think.
Well, Lyndsay, I think you're absolutely right, because he's lost some big points to his big rival Blackwell Chambers in both of the first 2 races. He really could do with redressing that in this final race of the weekend. Adam Bessel, after his first victory, is on pole position, with Will Blackwell Chambers alongside, then John Langridge and Ben Short, with Steve Foden, Jason Greatrex, Jack Brewer and Lewis Cannon next in line, with Scott Mansell and Ollie Allwood rounding out the top 10. But yeah, this is a crucial race, this, for John Langridge, and in a way Ben Short, because Ben Short, whilst he salvaged that podium place after Langridge is off in race 1, it hasn't been a superb weekend this for Ben Short by any stretch. Been a little further off the pace than we're accustomed to seeing him. So keep an eye to both Langridge and Short, who share the second row on this grid, to both try and do something about Blackwell Chambers. So 1 win apiece this weekend for Blackwell Chambers and Adam Bessel, who will win the 3rd and final race of the weekend here at Anglesey, getting ready for the red lights to go out in bright and sunny conditions now, finally here at the Coastal Circuit. Away we go, and Blackwell Chambers this time does make a good start. Bessel down to 2nd already, with Ben Short trying to get alongside on the run towards the first corner, on board with Martin Tolley. Ahead of us is Joe Wiggin, who, perhaps unsurprisingly, won the B race earlier on today and got promoted back onto the A grid and is already trying to make some ground. Martin Tolley was 2nd in that race, and Charles Mugglestone was 3rd. Bryn Griffiths and Nicola Doyen also progressed from the B grid, as Adam Bessel is about to lose 2nd place here, I think, to Ben Short as they go through Church Corner. This very high-speed right-hander, onto the back straight they go, and is Bessel off the podium perhaps? No, he's still 3rd, but I think Jason Greatrex is 4th. So where is Langridge? He's 6th. John Langridge has dropped down to 6th position here at the start. Not a good start to proceedings for John as they scrabble around for free track under braking, and Adam Bessel goes around the outside and Ben Short is sideways. Oh, Ben Short spins in front of the pack miraculously. He is avoided by everybody else. There is contact as other people try to avoid him, but Ben Short and John Langridge delayed in all of that. They are both well down the order, and that is real drama for our 2 championship contenders, and this hands a firm advantage once again to the man who clearly is carrying a lucky horseshoe in his car, Will Blackwell Chambers. He escapes the trouble and I think has held on to the race lead on board with Langridge. Didn't actually quite spot how he got delayed in all of that, but he definitely did get delayed, because he's down towards the back of the top 10 now. Look, in fact, he hasn't even appeared into shot yet, so a real change around in the order here on the opening lap of race 3A, as it has all started to kick off well and truly. Through the hairpin we go. Blackwell Chambers leads the way, Bessel is 2nd, Foden 3rd, and Jack Brewer is into 4th position. Now, if he can hang on to a top 5, that, I believe, would be his first ever, his 2nd top 5. He had a 5th place in race 3 at Cadwell Park. He's not finished in the top 4 before, though, and he's certainly not had a podium before. Onto the brakes through the final corner, then on board now with number 74, Clive Chisnall. There's cars on the grass, there are cars sideways, they're 3 abreast towards the first corner. Oliver Graham that was bouncing his way back on road. This is a standard Mazda MX-5 Championship race, and it is thoroughly entertaining to watch, but not so much if your name is John Langridge or Ben Short. They really have some work to do now. Still on board with Chisnall as they go through the hairpin. Now there is Langridge, and Short 2 places behind him there, the first of these white and red cars. There he goes, number 71. The BS Motorsport driver turns through Church Corner. Back with Charles Mugglestone now from the back of the grid, having got on the podium in that B race earlier on. And he got promoted onto the back of this A grid for the final time, and he pulls up alongside Nick Ledoyen, who finished 5th in race 2B, and therefore joined Mugglestone on the back of the A grid. And there's a car on the grass in front of him that could be big. Oh, across the track, I think that was Jack Moody. And miraculously, I think he was avoided by everybody, but that was a very scary moment. We've seen big accidents there in the past in this championship, caused by very similar situations, and that could have been an awful lot worse. No issues at all, though, for Will Blackwell Chambers, who comes through onto his final lap of the weekend. I won't say he's fully shaken off Adam Bessel, but certainly Adam is not that close that he'll be of particular concern to Blackwell Chambers on the last lap. Looks as though win number 5 of the season may be beckoning, and this is now starting to become a habit for Will Blackwell Chambers, a habit that he will be very keen to keep for the rest of the season. And this applies the pressure now to the rest, particularly Langridge and Short, to come back stronger next time and try and take some victories away from him. With Blackwell Chambers, if he does take this victory, he will have won 4 of the last 6 races. He did the double at Cadwell Park last time out, before Langridge beat him to the victory in race number 3. And of course he won yesterday here in Anglesey, 2nd in race 2. He's not really losing that many points. He was 2nd in race 2, but set the fastest lap, so essentially that was like scoring the race winning points. And then in this one, he's got the fastest lap to boot as well, so he's really not dropping that many points this weekend. And with Langridge and Short likely at the moment to finish outside the top 5, they're not really catching Ollie Allwood and Jason Greatrex as quickly as they'd like. This has been a really significant weekend, this, for Will Blackwell Chambers, and if at the end of the season he is lifting the championship trophy once again, I think he'll look back at this weekend as the big turning point, really, where he put in a almost perfect performance, and his rivals failed to do so. And with now just one more corner to go before he sees the flag, Will Blackwell Chambers looks as though he is going to come home a victor for the 5th time this season, after a slightly shaky start to the year, with just the 1 victory coming from the first 6 races. In the last 6, he's won over half of them, and the 5th win of the season will indeed go to Will Blackwell Chambers. 2 wins from 3 at Anglesey. I think he's rather happy with that. Adam Bessel as well, 2 second places and a maiden race victory. A good weekend for him as well. 3rd is Brewer, 4th place then for Ollie Allwood, with Greatrex 5th. And crucially there, Ben Short got ahead of John Langridge there on the final lap to take 6th place away. So Short does get a couple more points than Langridge. How crucial could that prove to be at the end of the year? So the victory then goes to Blackwell Chambers, Bessel 2nd, then Brewer, Allwood and Greatrex to round out the top 5. Then Short, John Langridge, Seb Fisher, Lewis Cannon unfortunately dropped to 9th position in the end with a post-race penalty. And rounding out the top 10, number 54, Marcus Bailey. Ali Bray was a non-finisher. Steve Foden was disqualified from the result by the clerk of the course, but this weekend most definitely belongs to Will Blackwell Chambers.
Jack, a huge congratulations. First podium.
I know, can't believe it. Just like to say thank you to Tucker Motorsport, Ice Driver, High Road Marketing and EPTA Projects for supporting me throughout all of it. And a massive thank you to my dad, just stood behind me, because he's built the car and just done the best job building it. It's been brilliant. So I'm, over the moon.